In this video, let me talk about the scope of sociology. The scope means the extent of subject matter. Extent means the length and the breadth of the subject matter or the areas of the study we are going to deal with. Every science has its own field of inquiry. Inquiry is questioning. So every subject has its own set of questions to be asked. It becomes difficult to study a science systematically unless it has a boundary or a scope. And that has to be identified or determined precisely or accurately. Sociology as a social science has its own scope or boundaries, but there is no one opinion. There are number of opinions about the scope of sociology. There are two main schools of thought: the specialist or the formalistic school and the synthetic school. Here, the specialist or the formalistic school argues in favor of giving sociology a definite subject matter to make it a separate or distinct discipline. It emphasizes, gives a great importance in the forms of a social relationship and regards sociology as an independent. Simmel says that sociology is a special social science which describes, classifies, analyzes, and delineates or describes the forms of social relationship. Simmel argues again that the social interactions have various or different forms. He carried out studies on such formal relationships such as cooperation, competition, sub or superordinate relationships, and so on. He again gave a special importance on the process of abstraction. Abstraction means it is related to the ideas, the quality of ideas. Okay. So he gave importance on the process of abstractions of these forms from a human relationship which are common to various conditions or various situations or different situations it means. For example, I'm talking about the students of the same class have to cooperate because they need help from each other, so they have to cooperate, as well as they have to compete with each other to get or obtain a higher rank in their exams. So Alfred Wittgenstein is nothing, he is a German sociologist, says that sociology should be concerned with ultimate forms of mental or psychic relationship which knit or tie the people together in a society together. So example, a student nurse is taught sociology so that she can understand and empathize, feel for the patient with their thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and the behavior of the patients. Von Weisse explains that there are two kinds of fundamental social processes in the humans. But actually, he has explained the three kinds of fundamental social processes. Number one is associative process. Excuse me. Contact, approach, or adaptation. Disassociative means something competition. And conflict is nothing but fight. So there's a mixed form of associative and the dissociative also exist over here. And Tony shows another point of view. He divided society into two categories on the basis of the degree of intimacy, means closeness among the members of the society. He said Gemeinschaft means community or Gesellschaft means association. He tried to differentiate between the community and the society. It's all on the basis of the forms of relationship. He concluded or interpreted social processes quantitatively, means measured, and gave a mathematical formula. For example, P is equal to A multiplied by S. P is social processes, A stands for attitude, and S for situation. So where A, attitude, is equal to N into E, that is a basic social nature multiplied by previous experience. And yes, situation is equal to geographical conditions multiplied by attitude of participations. This, according to the formalistic school, Sociology studies one specific aspect of the social relationships. That is, they forms in their abstract nature. Means it's only in the form of ideas and not in the concrete nature, not in the form of physical situation. The forms of the social relationship do not change with the change in the content of the social relationship. Example, the study of competition as a form of social relationship will not make any difference actually. If you're going to compete, I mean, the students in the class, if they're going to compete in the BSc nursing, otherwise in some other classes, okay, some other professions like a politics or economic, competition will be the same and it won't differ and it won't change. Sociology studies about the forms of a social relationships. The relation of the sociology to other sciences is just similar to the relation of the geometry with the other natural sciences. So the formalistic school has a limited scope of sociology as it is related to the abstract study of the forms of social relationships. Max Weber explains the aims of sociology is to interpret or understand the social behavior only. But the social behavior does not cover the whole field of human relationship. Remember this. So, sociology deals with analysis and the classification of types of social relationships. This, according to this school, sociology is a specific, pure, and independent social science. Sociology studies the various forms of social relationships. The scope of sociology is very narrow and it is limited. Sociology deals with the specific forms of human relationships. Sociology need not study all the events connected with the social science. Sociology is a specific social science and should deal with the social relationship from different angles. Criticism of the Max Weber was it narrows the scope of sociology. It emphasizes means it gives importance, a special importance on the abstract forms means only idea forms and neglects the concrete forms which is realistic and in a physical form of the social life. Sociology is not the only subject that studies the forms of social relationship. Even political science also helps in the social relationships to study and international law do as well. The distinction or the difference between the forms of social relationships and their contents is not at all practicable. The conception of pure sociology is not practical, as no social science can be studied in isolation from other social sciences. Okay, let me talk about the synthetic school. Durkheim divides sociology into three main branches. Number one, social morphology. It is concerned with the geometrical or the territorial basis of the life, such as the relationship of social organizations and its population, its size, its density means thickness, how far it is populated, and the distribution and all. So this can be studied at two levels. Number one, we could study by the size and the quality of the population because this may affect the quality of social relationship and the social groups. And secondly is the study of the social structure or the description of the main forms of the social groups and in the institutions with a classification. So as per the Durkheim, the second branch is social physiology. It deals with the genesis means formation and the nature of the various social institutions, namely religion, morals, law and economic institutions. And the third one is general sociology. It formulates general social laws, studies if there are links among the various institutions which would be treated independently in the social physiology and to discover the general social laws. Hobhouse says social life as a whole. It must be studied. He recognized sociology as a science with the whole social life of a man as its peer. Its relationship or relations with the other social sciences are also considered. Karl Mannheim divided social into two main sections. Number one is systematic sociology. He describes the main factors of the living as far as They may be found in every kind of society. And the second one is historical sociology. It deals with the excuse me, it deals with the historical variety and the actuality of the general forms of society. It is further divided into comparative sociology. Comparative means it is a comparison. Deals with mainly with the historical variations of the same phenomenon, means same event or same things, okay, and tries to find by the comparison of the general features. And the second was a social dynamics, changes. It deals with the interrelation between the various social factors and the institutions in a certain given society. For example, a primitive society. Ginsburg studied the types and the forms of social relationship. He says this determines the relation between the different factors of social life and the social change also. And its persistence continues and discover the social logical principles and governing the social life. Example, the economic and the political, the moral and the legal, or the intellectual and the social elements. He summed up the chief functions, especially of those which are come to be defined institutions and the associations. The synthetic school desires sociology to be the synthesis, means something a formation of the social sciences, and thus want to widen, means extend the scope of the sociology. Thus, according to this school, sociology is a general and a systematic social science. The scope of the sociology is vast, it's huge, it's big, it's too big. Sociology is closely related with the other social sciences. It is a synthesis of social science. Synthesis means formations of the social science. A general outline of this course, sociology. This is very important to list out, and it is a very important question too. So, analysis of various institutions, associations, and the social groups, which are results of social relationships of the individuals, should be the concern of society. It should be considered more important. The links among the different parts of society should be studied. This subject is dealt with by the functionalist and the Marxist schools. Social structure should be given adequate importance in the sociology. Also, factors that contribute to the social stability and the social change. So the trends means something is changing, right? The trends of changing patterns in the society also has to be considered. So what sort of a question you may be asked in the exam? Describe about the scope of sociology. So please see the description for the further topics.